it was almost clear that Sundowns were going to go on to win the title. When you look back at their entire campaign with both Ukadoso and Mangoba and how the season played out, how do you conclude Sundowns' run to the title?
What a brilliant season, right? It's a record-breaking season, and it feels as if every season we're talking about that.
Yeah,
where Sundowns are concerned. 73 points matches the total from last season, but with 2 games outstanding. So, and on the run they're on, you would have put money on Sundowns going to 79, right? If there were 2 more games. 65 goals as well is 25 goals more than Orlando Pirates in second place. Ribeiro and Ikram Reyners by themselves have a combined 30 goals, Chuck, and that is more than all but 3 other teams in the PSL. And then they still have the miserly defense of only conceding 13 goals this season. Then there's also like the 24 wins, which is more than even in the era where PSL season was 34 games long. You've never had a team get to 24 wins before, and this is what happened. 24 wins in 28 games spells absolute domination. Like Sundowns absolutely wrecked the league this season, and it wasn't looking like that for the longest time because, as you said, Pirates were mathematically, maybe at least for the majority of the second half of the season, were still in with a shout, right? But then when you have a Pirates go 18 points behind or 12 behind, even with games in hand, it's like it's going to be too much to make up because games in hand does not equal points in the bag, right? But in actual fact, yeah, Sundowns picked up from where they left off last season. And my biggest takeaway, Chuck, is that the institution that is Mamelodi Sundowns is greater than anything else that is affiliated with Sundowns. And by that, I mean specifically players or coaches. Players and coaches can come and go in Sundowns. Now, more than ever, I am fully certain of that because you think about this unprecedented period of success. It starts with Pitso Mosimane, right?
Yeah. Who
Who also then wins Sundowns' first Champions League. And you wonder, when Pitso leaves, is that going to cause instability? Is that going to be the occasion for the rest of the PSL to catch up? No. It isn't. And you can explain that away with there is some continuity. There are the 3 wise men, right? You have Mangoba, you've got Rulani Mukwena, who are his assistants, and it's like, okay, it's more of the same because they've been there. But then you do lose Rulani at some point. And then Mangoba is appointed as the coach, and then he leaves. Now, you don't have that connection to the godfather of the successful period, Pitso Mosimane. But it doesn't matter. And that's the thing. You had Ehlompo Kekana, you had a Percy Tau, you had CBD. You can go through the names who were absolutely integral to Sundowns' success 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 5 years ago. They were there. They no longer are there. You had Ehlompo Kekana, the heartbeat of the Sundowns team. Gave him a 4-year extension. The following year, Sundowns had buyer's remorse, if you want to put it that way, and offered him a role behind the scenes. And they were okay to move on from him. This season, you think about Temazwani goes down with that Achilles injury playing for Bafana Bafana. Is this coupled with the fact that they changed coaches now twice in the space of less than 6 months? Is this going to spell that? You remember when we were speaking about it, that this might be the thing that brings everybody else, because Sundowns, you've always said that Sundowns need to come back to the pack. Yeah. And is this going to cause it? It doesn't matter. Temazwani, who is the talisman at Sundowns, as I'm saying, he's out for the majority of the season, but it doesn't matter because Sundowns had already signed his replacement. They, like Lucas Ribeiro Costa, is right there. You know, you have Peter Shalulile, arguably the greatest goal scorer in PSL history. He is now somewhat on the fringes. He had a run, but Sundowns are not looking and depending on him because you've got Ikram Reyners, and again you've got Lucas Ribeiro Costa, who's doing the business. And that's the institution, Chuck. That is the administration. That is the club. Those pillars at Sundowns are concrete, and it feels as if they're Teflon. They are bulletproof to any kind of scandal. I remember last season when there was the back and forth between Rulani and Ramovic. Even when there were those reports that when Rulani and Mangoba were co-coaches, that there's some friction. Those things did not grow legs, Chuck, because Sundowns continued to win. And winning solves everything, right? And it seems as though, to me, especially after this season, that the organization, Sundowns, they've got the formula.
Yeah, man, I think that is echoed by Ronan Williams when he says, Uti, the culture of the club is that they never get tired of winning. Because what do you do after you had that season with Urulan? You go better. Like how? And why? Because even if you don't go better, chances are you win the league anyway, right? But such is their hunger in Mamelodi Sundowns that they have the best in every position because they figured right halfway through the season that Mangoba's not quite the best. And so they changed managers, right? And everywhere else, when you look on the pitch and the goalposts, best keeper. Toby Mvala, Nabo Libusa, maybe you can argue that they're not the best defensive combinations there, right? But on the right back, Mdao, best right back. Temo Mkwena, best midfielder. Ribeiro, best forward. And you're like, everyone who's the best in their class is at Sundowns, right? And you might want to argue that they threw money at it, they're killing the league or whatever. But sometimes it's just being smart with their money because everyone else can buy. You can buy anyone you want, right? We're just not buying the same quality as Sundowns. And quality does not necessarily mean money because you can go to NFT, you can go in Africa, you can go anywhere in the world. And if you've got the right player for the right price, you can compete. And Sundowns have been doing that, Jay, because you outline the fact that Umvala has been missing, Umshishi has been missing, but there are players who step up and then say, well, I'm here. I mean, if I remember correctly, if I'm not going to muddy my memory too much, Alina didn't have the best season. But there are players who did step up, like Arenas, who came through with the goals. Shalila has been withering a bit, but there are players like Tashrik Matthews who come up and they step up and they play their roles. But Tusu Oba steps up and then they play their role. So cohesiveness, Jay, continuity, and that never say die spirit, I think at Sundowns is amazing. Because the chasing pack, yeah, it's quite demoralizing. I mean, I remember waking up and I saw Williams again doing a post-match interview, and they put up that graphic of the number of times Sundowns won the league, and it's just Sundowns. You're like, am I supporting the wrong team here? Because Pirates. It's almost like you came to this league and you chose the team that's not Sundowns. And I know it's been a matter of recent success, right? 8 times in a row, which is amazing. But Jay, when you think about the hunger of the team, when you think about Utlopi and where he is having taken over from his pops, same standard. And as you outlined as well, managers keep changing, same standard. CBD to wherever, same standard. And that's the thing about Sundowns, right? That other teams have to get to that standard. It's not a matter of they've got the players. It's a matter of they have a standard. I mean, people will tell even journalists that Sundowns have got the most polite players. Whenever you come in for a press conference, what they're greeting everyone, what it's a Sundown standard. And if you think about that as well, Jay, would say how many controversies or players? Yeah, there are players who do arrive drunk, but they don't do that the entire season. At some point, you cut that off. Or at some point, we saw it with Mangob as well. Umdao and Tebo Khumkwena weren't playing because he felt he was not getting that respect. And so something had to change, something had to be put back into order. And that's who Sundowns are. In contrast, right, the team that's chasing is Pirates. There's the Saling saga. How long has that dragged on? Do you have the answers to it? Anyas. Not that we know the ins and outs of the Madawa and Mukwena stuff, but Ipelile. Because water over the bridge, Mangoba got them playing again, even if they leave Sundowns, but he had his players for that season. We don't have that. And those are the levels and the standards that Sundowns has kept and maintained. Also then, Jay, I think it's how they see themselves. They see themselves as a team that's going to win the league every season, a team that's going to challenge for Africa every season, and they expect that of themselves. So, man, they took the bar high. There's that run of games where they were scoring, 4 goals and 4 goals. 5 games in a row or something. What do we do when...
The standards are high. The standards
what do we do?
Are absolutely high. And the gauntlet, again, has been thrown to the other big teams in South African football that you need to match. You need to match. We'll see if they can do it, Chuck.